Afternoon, Bournemouth fans. Welcome to Cherries Army YouTube channel and our latest match review. Wycombe Wanderers 1, AFC Bournemouth 0. I have Dan Jerome with me. You're on with me for Lineups Live. We're going to go through the game like we normally do, but the whistle's just gone. What's your raw feelings?
I don't really know how to feel. Like, I'm not disappointed in like I have been in previous games we've lost for obvious reasons, because this game doesn't have the same importance as a lot of previous losses. But just a little bit frustrated, a little bit like, but I don't know how much we can take from that, considering there were so many changes, and it did look like a team really that didn't know how to play together properly. So it'd be interesting. I think we can take more of have a better idea of what's to come after the Stoke result, and hopefully that's a bit more of a regular team. But yeah, a little bit of frustration. It wasn't a good performance at all. It really wasn't. Even when we still had enough quality to at least get a draw from that game. So yeah, a little bit frustrated.
But win, lose or draw, Bournemouth fans, we're here providing you a match review and we appreciate you checking this out. Please give it a like at some point through the video. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please do. We're at 375. So let's see if we can get to 400 if we go to the playoffs, and also hit that notification bell to let you know when new content is out. So let's go through the game as we normally do on Lineups Live. Let's have a look at those lineups again. Like you said, Dan, quite a few changes, 6 or 7 in the end from last week. Now, I thought Junior Stanislas might start in the billing role. It's not a number 10 role anymore, remember? You thought David Brooks would, but actually as kickoff came about, it would actually be Riquelme that would take up that position.
It's a bit of an interesting one there. Naturally a right-sided player. But in all fairness to Riquelme, he did find it difficult, I thought, at times. I thought, but he was one of our only avenues of attack. One of our only real positives from the game. He looks like it's frustrating with Riquelme, because obviously I suppose it hasn't really worked out entirely how he hopes and how the club hopes. He hasn't really been starting as many games as he would have liked, and he's come into a physically demanding league. But yeah, he looks. With the ball, he looks really, really good. Quick, agile, good dribbler of the ball. But it's just sometimes that final ball isn't quite there. Like, he might need about 3 chances, like 3 passes, let's say a through ball, to get that one perfect one. I think that's the only thing that's really letting him down. His final product isn't quite there some of the time. But in all fairness, he hasn't been playing a lot of games, so can you really blame him a lot of the times? Players that aren't playing matches consistently, are they going to be making more of those mistakes? I'd argue they would be. So, but yeah, it was very, very odd to see him playing centrally. But I think he did all right, to be fair to him, considering, yeah, as I said, not a lot of game time this season.
Someone missing out of that formation at the back there was Steve Kirk, that we didn't mention in Lineups Live, and that would be taken up by Chris Mepham. Now, Chris Mepham, a player who's had a bit of a tough season, up and down, scored a goal at Watford, but had low moments as well, where he gave the ball away for the Cardiff goal and other games like against Sheffield Wednesday, etc. Yeah. But it would be the 3rd minute that the first chance would come for Wycombe. It would be Mepham, rusty, sort of outdone by Ipezu. He would then drop off Ipezu, and also Wilshere would just watch him. Ipezu would put back his left foot, have a good strike. I don't think Begovic was expecting the strike, but they would take the lead early on, 1-0 to Wycombe.
Yeah. In all fairness, you've got to give credit where credit is due. That's pretty much only place he really could have put the ball. And great finish. You can't be angry at a bit of quality like that, really. Not great defensively, admittedly, but you can't argue that finish. It did. I think the whole game did feel like a bit of like a 0-0. That goal didn't really seem to fit in this game of football. It did feel like as the match progressed. But yeah, I think a lot of it, as I mentioned a minute ago, I think it's quite early on. We noticed this team didn't look like a collective. Like they're not playing together regularly. In matches, so it did look like it was clear that was the case, and that was a big problem. That 6 changes, they're not used to playing with each other, so I think that was quite apparent.
And a lot of rustiness you could see early on. Now, as disappointing as that was, a minute later we would get a chance to equalise. Stanislas breaking down the left, outside the foot, crossed it, and I think it was either Sam Surridge or Brooks, actually. Brooks was trying to get onto it, and he would sort of kick the floor. He would look for a penalty. It was never a penalty, but a chance to maybe equalise.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was the penalty shout. Yeah, I think I do remember that now. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, my stream was a bit laggy the first 10 minutes, so my account of that probably won't be as good. But no, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I was shouting for a penalty there, even though it probably wasn't.
No.
But yeah, it's yeah, we have the quality on the fields, like Stanislas and Brooks to at least get a goal. I think we'll go on to it later in the video, but I think we counted 5 good chances where we could have easily scored in that game. Maybe 3 like really, really good chances. So yeah, disappointing. We had enough of the ball, had enough chances to at least get a draw out of that game, and we were creating. It's not like we weren't creating. We were creating chances. We just couldn't finish anything. Wasteful play a lot of the time.
Lackluster then for the first 20 minutes, inconsistent, giving the ball away, quite slow type of football that we've seen at spells this season. But we would get a good chance. A chance you're talking about would be where David Brooks would get himself in space. We would sort of get 2-on-2 or 3-on-2 with the Wycombe defence. He would cut in, shot was blocked. Then it would land to Sam Surridge just outside the 6-yard box, a volley, which he didn't connect with. Then he would land at Junior Stanislas. He has a chance, and he doesn't connect with his chance either. I mean, there was 3 chances there to score a goal.
You'd be slightly embarrassed if that happened to you in Sunday League. That kind of effort from Surridge, and yeah, never mind in a championship game. But it was, I think it came off his like knee or I don't know what, or
shin,
something like that. I'm not entirely sure. That should have been the first goal, really. It's just so frustrating. We praise Sam Surridge so much. And he comes on, he looks so good, and he gets the chances today, and he doesn't take them, which is very frustrating. I'm sure, not just for fans, but for him himself. But that should have been an equaliser right there, and that was just one of many good opportunities that we should have finished this game.
But we didn't get the equaliser, and we spoke about in Lineups Live about being worried about defending set pieces, and Wycombe would get 2 headers quite close to each other, one from McPazu, it would be saved by Begovic, and then there would be another chance straight after from the corner, and again we would not win the header. I mean, the first time again Mepham would be at fault for not reading the ball for the first header, and then I think it would be Rico the second time not trying to make a challenge on that one. It's something with us and defending corners and set pieces and aerially that we just haven't dealt with all season. No,
it's been a mystery. It's every single time we come on these live streams, we say we need to do this. We don't. The thing is, though, it's not the case of they don't know it. Of course, they know it. Woodgate has made it very apparent that he does know we're not good enough in the air, but I don't. Maybe we aren't good enough at it. We just aren't good at doing it. Like the players aren't good aerially. It seems to come down to that at this point. We have some play, but even like we have Steve Cook. I know he wasn't playing today. Brilliant in the air. He's been brilliant in the air for so long, and even he has made mistakes in the air. The whole defense. I don't know if it's the way we set up when the ball comes in. I don't know if players not being brave. I really don't know, but it's just opposition teams, they love to get someone 6'4", get some tall guy in the box, make it physical, whip a half decent ball in, and they're probably going to get their head on it. And any decent connection is going to trouble us because I don't never feel comfortable with crosses. The entire season I haven't felt comfortable with crosses. What I have felt comfortable with other areas since Woodgate has come in and improved certain areas, particularly just as a defensive line, but in aerially poor throughout the season.
And talking about aerially, we would get a chance just before half time with a corner for ourselves, and Chris Mepham, again involved in the game, would get a free header just outside the 6-yard box. A poor header would land wide, not a half for him to remember, but in his defence, he hasn't played a lot of football.
Yeah, that is pretty much. It's he hasn't been playing. I think his confidence has got to be rock bottom at this point. I think that he's hasn't been playing games. He's made a few mistakes. He's received some Unnecessary abuse online, which I'm sure hasn't helped him as well over his time. When you're not playing games of football, from a player especially that started the season, I'm sure he expected, and us fans expected him to play consistently throughout the season. He was going to be the player that would develop, still a young player. He would develop alongside Steve Cook. That was going to be the partnership. And then, lo and behold, Cameron Carter-Vickers comes through after injury, and he's exceptional. And it kind of worked because he was came in, played well, and Mepham was making mistakes. And I do feel really bad for him because he still is a talented footballer, and he just had a period where he was just making mistakes. I think he made some mistakes for Wales as well on international duty, which I'm sure didn't help his confidence as well. But yeah, I do feel bad for him, and he hasn't played a lot of football, and but yeah, aerially we're just not that great either in attack, to be honest. So yeah, I don't know what to say. It's what do you think about Mepham? Because
I think it's been a tough season for him. I've never ever been convinced by him. I'll be completely honest. Sure. We paid 20 million quid for him, and I always have faith in Eddie. And to be fair, when you look at Eddie's transfers, people think that he didn't do well, and actually, when you look at them all, he done better than he did not. The thing is with Mepham, I have seen the odd game in him where I actually think, oh, there is a player there, but I've never seen it consistently. Judging him on today's performance, I just think there's that feeling I already have about him. And then there's that feeling of that I think he's just low in confidence. He's had a season that he's not going to want to remember, like you've said. So, yeah, it's a tough one. And we know that it's going to be Cookie and Carter-Vickers in a few games' time. Now, half-time was 1-0 to Wycombe. Just briefly, what were you feeling at half-time? What was you looking for in the second half?
It's a weird one because, like, as I said at the beginning, it wasn't my going into this game, not even at half-time, but just at the start. It was like you weren't. It's a game that you're watching, and there wasn't really. You could watch a game and almost have that sense of relaxation. Like we were in the playoffs, and the only part of me that is that I want to secure playing Swansea or whoever finishes, which way is going to be Swansea now, and not play Brentford over 2 legs, because I think that was my biggest fear. But ultimately, we've got playoffs at the end of the day, and yeah, it was just I wanted us to stop wasting chances. We're being so sloppy. In our play, giving the ball away. We showed signs of when Tyndall, just before he was sacked, when we were playing so bad, we couldn't play football properly. We couldn't make 5-yard passes. We couldn't string any kind of move together. It looked slightly like that. And admittedly, there's a reason behind that because we've made 6 changes to the team, so that's likely going to happen. But there's still some great players on that pitch. And we talk about Bournemouth having squad depth. There was more than enough quality on that team, even though they haven't played consistently with each other. There was enough established players that were playing for the rest of the season. There were some players coming in that have the ability to win games, and they weren't showing. And how many times this season have we said that players aren't living up to their abilities, which is so frustrating. But as admittedly, like we say, I don't think we can take an awful amount from this game because of the amount of changes and how players were unfamiliar with each other. I think was a big reason.
We went into the second half, then not a lot changed. There was a lot of frustration throughout the pitch. You would see Pearson at stages in that half picking up the ball and, throwing it away with frustration, and not maybe just because things weren't coming off, like you say. Now, there would be another chance for Chris Mepham again in the second half, and this would be another free kick. Wycombe would play a high line. Oh, yeah. It would sort of bounce in front of him. I don't think he read it well, and it was again a header, a wasted chance. Actually, on reflection, he probably could have headed it to the player that was next to him, might have been Surridge, but another wasted chance. Yeah,
that was one of the 5 that I was saying that made it was like. It was more than a half chance for sure. It was definitely a good chance, but I think looking back on it, it was quite a difficult. I think he slightly misjudged the bounce and made it difficult for himself. So he was always gonna rise. But yeah, you're probably right. But when it's coming that quickly, it'd also be difficult to play it across, I think. So yeah, it's another one of those chances that what if more than a half chance, but. Probably not a great chance. You don't look back and think, oh yeah, he should have scored that, but you think he could have done maybe a bit better, maybe if he judged it a bit better.
Another chance from a header, which we'll briefly just mention, is the Stanislas one with the work down the right-hand side from Stacey. The header from the defender would loop high and sort of Junior Stanislas would run onto it and head it over the bar. But the best chance in the game that we probably had was when Roro would pick up the ball and drive on. He would feed David Brooks through. He would take it round the goalie. Surely a goal now. But he strikes the ball. The defender slid in front of him, not really knowing what's going on, hits him on the back, hits him on the bar. You know, it's not your day.
On reflection, I don't think David Brooks did a lot wrong, if I'm honest. Like you say, oh, maybe could have taken a bit quicker, but he didn't do a lot wrong. It just did sum up the day for us. And we never, just couldn't seem to put it in the back of the net at the end of the day. And, when it's not your day, it really isn't your day. And this is the case here. Roro does really, really well there. That's what I was an example of. What he can do so well is when he dribbles with the ball, burst of pace, and he does execute a good through ball. David Brooks does really well and just gets a bit unlucky when someone makes someone just diving in. No idea really what he's doing. He's like just chucking his body on the line, hoping for the best. And luckily for him, it hits the crossbar. But it did just ultimately sum up the match for us, really.
Let's sort of finish the game off then. There would sort of be made up with substitutions, who would come on, who wouldn't. Junior Stanislas has gone down, but he walked off the pitch. So hopefully that's just a precaution. But we always worry about Junior Stanislas. Jaden Anthony came on the pitch, Jordan Zamora.
Yeah.
You can clearly see that Woodgate doesn't want to risk Billing. He doesn't want to risk Danjuma. I mean, your thoughts on those types of substitutions that were made?
Yeah, I think part of me wanted the likes of Danjuma, Billing, Solanke to possibly come on the pitch. But on reflection, I think we've got to protect these players in a game that it just wasn't going our way anyway. It gets to the 60th, 70th minute. We're 1-0 down still. Ultimately, we win our game against Stoke and we'll face Swansea because Barnsley aren't going to catch us with their goal difference. So I think, look, on reflection, it was probably, it was obvious to what he was doing. He was protecting the players. And I think I said before the game that I'd rather see us play our standout players in the game against Stoke and not risk them at all. They've had going to be a 2-week break before between matches now. So have time they'll be fully fit, refreshed, and hopefully come back strong. So I think, he made it clear what he was doing. And hopefully that pays off and the players will come out sharp and perform against Stoke, because Stoke lost again today, didn't they? I think it was 2-0, wasn't it? They lost
against QPR.
Yeah, who have had a pretty decent second half of the season. But so we should be expected to beat Stoke, win that, go into the playoffs on a win would be ideal.
And we'll touch on that Stoke game in just a bit. Just looking at the statistics quickly then, 65% possession. I mean, how many times have we seen us dominate possession and not win the football match this season? Interestingly, I thought we were quite poor on the ball today, but it shows there on SofaScore at 465 passes that we had 80% accuracy. I don't know if that's how you saw it.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. That is quite surprising. I mean, you look down there, the dribbles though, 29% in comparison to 53%.
And the aerials one as well.
Yeah, that's very true. I think that you look at some of the other things as well on top of that, and maybe once you're not playing well and once you're frustrated, every little mistake you pinpoint and you pick out a bit more than you would if you were playing well, things were going our way. So it wasn't to be today, but hopefully move on to Stoke with a full strength team. I'm sure that's what he's going to do. I don't see why he would do anything. They've had a 2-week break now. They're going to have a break from Stoke to the playoffs. Should be our best side, back to what we know, back to winning ways, hopefully. And fingers crossed.
We'll take a look at the table in just a moment. We'll have a look at the other scores as well. But that is Wycombe Wanderers 1, AFC Bournemouth 0. And Dan, how does this sort of work for you for the week? Does it play on your mind, or is it because we're looking at bigger fish to fry in a few weeks' time that it's not really going to affect you?
Yeah, if I'm honest, I'm not overly bothered. Like weirdly, it's the first time this season that I haven't come away where we've lost, and I've come away from it being like, yeah, I'm like obviously a little bit disappointed, but it's I know that that's not what we're capable of. We're capable of so much more, and we didn't put out a full strength team, and they scored a great goal at the end of the day, and we should have scored. So I will be concerned if we see similar things against Stoke for sure. But hopefully, with as I said, we'll have our better team out then. Yeah, it won't be playing on my mind. I think that we should be back to winning ways against Stoke with a better team, players that are in form. Get Dan Juma back there, and hopefully no injuries. That's the most important thing. We don't want any injuries, especially to likes of Dan Juma, Billing, Solanke, Lerma, players like that.
So that's game 45 wrapped up in the Championship, and let's take a look at the other scores that happened this afternoon and the league table. Okay, so in the Championship today, it was that score that we spoke about on Lineups Live. It was Sheffield Wednesday 0, Forest 0, Birmingham City 0, Cardiff 4, Brentford 2, Watford 0, Huddersfield 1, Coventry 1, Luton 1, Middlesbrough 1, Millwall 4, Bristol 1, Norwich 4, Reading 1, Preston 2, Barnsley 0, Rotherham 1, Blackburn 1, Stoke 0, QPR 2, as mentioned previously, Swansea 2, Derby 1, and Wycombe Wanderers 1, AFC Bournemouth 0. So like we said, Dan, that's guaranteed Brentford's third position place.
Yep.
And a loss for Barnsley will keep them in sixth, and with that goal difference, that'll probably leave them where they are. And Swansea turned it around against Derby.
Yeah, I think that I don't want to face Brentford over two legs. I really don't. I think in a one-off game against anyone, anything can happen at the end of the day. But they've beaten us twice this season. Both times they were the better team. We didn't deserve to win the game, and they beat us with 10 men. So, but yeah, Barnsley dropping points, and Swansea managed to come back. I think that Swansea is I would go into. I said in the pre-match that Swansea would be the ideal match or ideal tie over two legs, and Barnsley, if they could somehow beat Brentford, I think that would also help. But they beat Brentford. They have beaten Brentford this season, 2-0, I believe, the last time they played them. So it could quite possibly happen. But Brentford are in good form. They're favourites, and they do look scary at the moment. After beating, admittedly, it isn't already promoted Watford. We saw after Norwich they'd been promoted. We'd beaten them. Admittedly, it was in slightly odd circumstances, but even still, it's. I would like that to be the final table. I think get Swansea. We'd maybe actually like probably third and fourth, so we get the second leg at home. But yeah, that's where I'd like us to be facing Swansea in the over two legs.
So Stoke next week. I know you've made a few comments already about it. I'm in a different boat because I think it's really risky. I thought he should have gone strong today and then rested in Stoke. I don't think there's a wrong and a right. I said earlier in the week on Twitter that it's a difficult situation for Woodgate. It does concern me that if he plays some big time players that we have match winners and they get crunched by a right back from Stoke, I'm going to be highly frustrated. But he's got to balance that with trying to get players back into form into those playoffs. I mean, you would rather play a strong side and I wouldn't, but just confirm your stance on next Saturday.
Yeah, I'd like us to play a full strength squad because there's the argument for both, and you say, oh yeah, if we do play a full strength squad, Dan Juma gets snapped, he's injured. You go, oh, why did we do that for? We play we don't play a full strength squad, we lose, we go into the playoffs and we underperform, and you say, oh well, the players haven't been playing, we should have given them a game before the playoffs. So there's arguments for either one. It's the risk you take, and it is a luxury in some sense, because we've got the option, and so. But I want to see us play a full strength squad on Stoke. So yeah,
he's damned if he is, and he's damned if he doesn't. If he does, and he doesn't, shall we say? Yeah, please give this video a like. We really appreciate you checking it out. Let us know your thoughts on the game. Did you agree with the lineup? What did you think about the chances that we created and didn't put away, and the goal we conceded? Let us know in the comments. We'll read every single one. Dan, it's been brilliant to have you on this Game Week 45 shows that we've done. I really appreciate it.
No, always a pleasure. Glad to be on the show.
And we will obviously be doing a preview for Stoke, slightly different, and it will see Dan again and some of the other Cherries Red Army contributors. So check us out for that on Friday, and Twitter will be back up from Tuesday. So look out for the content on there. But obviously hitting the notification bell will notify you when new shows are coming live and are out. So Jonathan Woodgate switched it up. Didn't quite happen. Wycombe are relegated. Bournemouth looking towards the playoffs. What we do know is that we need our best players on the pitch to give us a chance. Thank you, everyone, for checking this out. We'll see you on the next video. From me and Dan, up the Cherries.